Oh, Jose, can you see? Jose, can you see? Can you see the United States enter the knockout round in the Paris Olympics and take on Brazil and win with with no issues whatsoever? A nice, clean, probably the best game that Team USA has played thus far in the Olympics, ultimately beating the Brazilian team by a final score of I don't even remember. 122 to 83, something like that. It was a big win for the United States. And obviously here at the Suns Jam Session podcast, we're going to talk about it. So I bring my podcasting partner Matthew in. A big win for Team USA, right?
Huge win, inches closer. And reading the headline on ESPN, it's LeBron Edwards inch closer to gold. And I looked at the box score. I swear Devin Booker has one more point than Edwards. So
yeah,
I guess I just want the headlines with Edwards. But yeah, great win, easy win. Yeah, it's good day to be an American, bad day to be a Canadian. So sorry about Canada out there and their loss and not moving on. So
yeah, who did they end up losing to? I didn't see any of the other scores. In fact, I have them all up in front of me too. I didn't bother to look. That's how much of an American
they played France. Yeah, they lost 82 to 73.
Yep. And Serbia beat Australia.
Put some money on Canada these Olympics to pull it off.
Yeah, so to our Canadian friends, we're sorry. I was looking forward to a potential gold medal matchup against the Canadian team. Greece also lost today to Germany, and then Australia lost to Serbia. And I did awake to plenty of messages in my group chat that include some of our Aussie friends talking about different things that were occurring during the game, but a 95 to 90 loss for them. Again, the United States winning 122 to 87 was the final score over Brazil. The easiest, obviously, matchup left in the Olympics, seen as the Olympic team for Team USA was the number one overall seed. So they got the only team that was 1-2 in group play in Brazil. And they TCOB'd, as we like to say here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. They took care of business. And that's what we're going to do today here on the pod. We're going to take care of some business. We're going to talk about this game, what we saw, Devin Booker's amazing game that ESPN is refusing to apparently acknowledge. They'd rather acknowledge Anthony Edwards coming off the bench, or they didn't acknowledge Kevin Durant becoming the all-time leader in Olympic basketball history, men or women. But, that's okay. That's what we're here for. So when you get a chance, make sure you subscribe, rate, review. You can follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter, and you can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow Matthew.
At Matthew Listing. Yes, I do have boobs.
Matthew, I have boobs Lissy. And so on that note, we're going to crack them open because we got plenty to talk about. Oh, man, that sounds crisp.
That's a real Coors Light.
That's a Coors Light on a Tuesday night. Cheers, Jamsters. Right, as we mentioned, Team USA has no issues taking care of the Brazilian team, winning by a final score of 122 to 87, which of course brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask, why don't we as Americans call them Brazil? Because it's on their jerseys, Brasil. It's what they call themselves. Why do we got to throw a random Z in there for no fucking reason?
That's the way we are. That's the way our English is, right? And none of it makes any sense. So that's a good question, John. I don't know. You got something on this one? Because I don't have
No, I noticed it while I was watching the game today. You're watching them take on Brazil. I like saying Brazil, but we're raised to say Brazil, and I just don't understand what the why is. And you see that during the Olympics when different countries are announced by both the French and the English translators, and you hear them and you're like, oh, okay, that's how they like to be called. Or they have somebody in their native language, they'll talk about their, what is it? Greece, it says like Hellas on it, Hallas, or maybe it's Hellas, but it's not Greece. It's not Greek. It's just interesting how the other countries in the world call themselves by one thing, and we call them by something completely opposite. And I understand this is the same for the United States of America. I can't say it in Spanish because I don't know Spanish, but they say something different. So it's just one of my random observations, Matthew.
Yeah, and it's another thing too, just to kind of grasp, all this bullshit we're fed. And there's another thing, right? The Brazil thing.
It's like, when did the S
I have
get
to go into
flipped?
a deep dive now. Go
When
down a
when
rabbit
did-
hole to figure that out. There's probably a Joe Rogan podcast about it. So
Probably after his stand-up special, he's probably making a podcast.
I didn't see that. Did you see it?
I watched it actually
I don't
live
like
on
his stand-up.
Netflix. It's just
He's not a good stand-up comedian. Sorry, his podcast
He's-
is pretty good, but he's too forced. Like he's like, I'm gonna be really good at comedy, and he's just, I don't like it.
He just
He's not
goes off
funny.
on tangents and just like gets really intense, and
Yeah,
like I watched it because there was
Blood in
nothing
his
else to.
throat.
Yeah, there was nothing else to watch on.
Yeah. I can't
Well,
stand the voice.
looking at the game against the Brazilian team, I'm just going to start off with KD.
Who the heck are you? I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
Kevin Durant in this game continuing to come off the bench in 21 minutes played, was 4 of 8 from the field, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. And it's something that I didn't acknowledge on the last podcast, but he is now the all-time leading rebounder in Team USA, as he surpassed Carmelo Anthony in the last game against Puerto Rico. And in this game, by scoring that 11 points, he's now at 494 career Olympic points, the highest total amount of points ever scored by anyone who's donned a USA basketball jersey, whether it's men or women. He passed Lisa Leslie, who set that mark back in the 2008 Olympics. So I wanted to put that out there, and then again talk about how he's continuing to come off the bench. So what are your thoughts on bench KD? Isn't that such a strange thing?
It is a weird thing, but I liked it since the first exhibition game. I think it's nice to start with LeBron and have KD come off the bench. That way you kind of have that leader coming off the bench while LeBron is off the court. So leading a second team unit, it's been nice. I think if Jason Tatum was actually starting more, I would probably be a little bit more upset because I feel like KD should be in his spot in the starting lineup. That hasn't been the thing. And KD's kind of cooled off a little bit. He hasn't been too crazy. I know he started off 6 for 6 in the World Cup from 3, but he's kind of cooled off, kind of chilled. But he's doing just enough off the bench to help his team win. But his leadership, I feel like, is there. Him kind of feeling the flow, him actually having fun out there is still. Obviously, this team, if they're winning by 40 points, they're going to be having fun. But it's good to see that. He's a different kind of player right now. But coming off the bench, too, with 21 minutes, it's nice because you would think maybe it would dwindle down if he's not as hot as he was in the beginning. But he's still keeping up there. 21 minutes to actually tied with Anthony Edwards in this game with 21 minutes. So he's still getting a lot of play time. I know he's not doing too much ISO out there and stuff. He's just kind of a shooter. But he is cooling off a little bit, but he'll still get those minutes just because I feel like he is kind of that leader out there. And a lot of guys are still looking up to him and just enjoy playing ball with him.
Big time. And I like what Ernesto says in the chat. And again, thank you to everyone who's joining us live. Says, should we bench KD and start Beal Book? What's the recipe? LOL. Seeing obviously Kevin Durant come off the bench in the situation.
We have LeBron?
Exactly. Like one thing you have to take away from this Olympics is there's nothing to take away from this Olympics. Everybody's seen off-ball Book and the way that he's selfless. Like, that's what we need on the Phoenix Suns. It's like, no, you need Royce O'Neal to be that guy on the Phoenix Suns. You don't need Devin Booker to be that guy on the Phoenix Suns. The fact that he can do this on this team full of superstars is what makes him special. The fact that Kevin Durant can do what he's doing coming off the bench is what makes him special. And it was a rough start for Kevin Durant in this game. First half, I think 0 of 3 from the field, only 2 points, right? But it's the right move to have Kevin Durant come in off the bench for this version of Team USA, because you don't need all the top scorers in the NBA on the court at the same time to start a game. You need to stagger that talent. And when you put in Kevin Durant and you put in Anthony Edwards next to him, they can feed off of each other. They can take advantage of opposing defenses, especially those second team unit opposing defenses. And that's why you get slaughterings like we saw today of a 122-87 win for Team USA, winning by 35 points because of the sheer talent. Again, we're doing these podcasts in August and in the offseason. There's a full expectation that we win this gold medal because of everything that we're talking about, right? So at the same time, if we go on and we play Serbia on Thursday, which we'll get to. If we lose that game, it's going to be a much different sounding podcast. And like a little part of me wants it to happen just because I want to go off. It's been a while since it's weird watching a team with so much talent as they're expected to win, plays like a video game and wins, right? I'm a Suns fan. I'm used to bitching and moaning. I don't have much to bitch and moan about, man. I'll find something though.
Yeah, it's kind of boring a little bit in a way, but I mean, as long as they're having fun out there, that's the most important thing, and they're not getting injured.
It's not
that's
how
what's
they
important.
win or lose, it's how they play the game, right? Thanks, Dan.
It really is. The next game is Serbia is going to be a little bit more challenging, but we also thought too, Canada was going to do better. But Serbia with Jokic out there, it's going to be, kind of a revenge. In the exhibition game, we kind of dominated them, and Jokic was kind of played out of that game. So it's going to be interesting to see, even though he was going against Embiid and had his way at times, but you could tell his frustration. So he kind of wants that revenge, obviously, going into the next game. But I'm also thinking about Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in the starting lineup for the Suns. I feel like that kind of equals like the talent that we have, like compared across the whole NBA. So obviously with LeBron James, Embiid, Booker, Holiday, and Curry, that's probably one of the most talented lineups ever. Yeah. But with Kevin Durant and Booker, I just feel like they kind of make up so much talent on their own compared across the NBA's starting lineups that's why I kind of feel like we kind of preach like the Beal coming off the bench, because I like to spread it out. If we're going to have the Tyus Jones starting and we're going to have Booker there, I would have like a Royce O'Neal in the 3 or at the 4, and then you have Kevin Durant starting at the 3. So obviously we'll talk about that later in future pods, but I don't think we come off this Olympic run and kind of look into like the Suns roster of like, oh, should KD come off the bench and stuff like that. No, I think we kind of are dead on with Kevin Durant and Booker heading into next season in the starting lineup.
I think Beal too. And again, that's something we are going to talk a little bit about the depth chart later in this podcast, just because we haven't had an opportunity to talk about the Phoenix Suns signing their final two-way slot in TyTy Washington. So I will bring up the depth chart just to talk a little bit about it, because it's definitely something we're going to be talking about as the season gets near, as training camp gets near. Battles, what's the best strategy for the Phoenix Suns? Is it how they open? Is it how they close? Who's in, who's not? But what you can take away from this Olympics isn't anything relative to the starting lineups, but it's to the national national perspective on members of the Suns. Because you see a lot of this, and I've done it on a couple subreddit stakeouts, and you see a lot of the national people, the fans from throughout basketball period, appreciating Devin Armani Booker.
Big Dick Booker.
He led the Americans, only played 15 minutes, had 18 points, was 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. He had 3 rebounds. He had 3 assists, only 1 turnover. He was setting up people like Joel Embiid, who've had a rough go of it. So that's how he started the game. A couple assists here. Scored the first basket, by the way. First rebound, first basket, first assist, Devin Booker. And that national perspective that we've been talking about is starting to change, because they're seeing what his capability is. It was the best game for Devin Booker with Team USA thus far, correct?
Yeah, it is. And it kind of brought the question, do you think he has a chance really to win the MVP or whatever that is of this Olympic run, just because he has been the best plus-minus guy? I feel like he has been the most talked about guy. Obviously, we'll talk about his interview with D'Angelo Russell. He's doing a lot of stuff around the Olympics too, so he's kind of been known. And I think that his play on the courts really spoke for itself. He's been the most consistent player, I feel like. His shooting percentage is obviously even better after today. So playing the 15 minutes and then just still scoring 18 points just shows you how valuable he is and how efficient he is. And the limited turnovers too in the Olympics. Like, he's just been dead on perfect. And I think he has a chance really to be named an MVP, the most valuable player of this run. But it just, like, when you see headlines like the ESPN headline of him like being left out when it's just Edwards and it's LeBron, then you're just like, well, does he really have a chance? Probably not. That's just the way it is. That's the narrative. Yeah,
and you know that if this team gets themselves in a gold medal game, LeBron is going to go into full LeBron mode and try to dictate that narrative to get that MVP of this tournament. But, that being said, this summer, and it's something that we've talked about on the previous post-game pods after Olympic wins for Team USA, we've gloated over Devin Booker. There's no doubt about that. And there's no shame in that. And this is a Suns podcast, so that's what's going to fucking happen here. You don't like it? Get the fuck out of here. You go watch the Mavericks. Sorry to my family who's trying to watch TV, and I'm in here like
They're trying to watch the Mavericks.
No, they're trying to watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or Orange County. You're one of those.
Oh,
yeah. Summertime.
yikes.
Summertime. Some fucking kill me. But it's with good reason. Devin Booker, when we talk about the Olympics, it's one of those things that is very formative for players. They come out of Olympic runs having amazing seasons. Statistically, it's happened. Devin Booker, after he went to the Olympics, came out the next season and led the Phoenix Suns to the most wins in the history of the franchise. It's happened time and again. And Devin Booker's just stacking wins this offseason into this Olympics, things he's doing around the Olympics. We've mentioned him hiding book ones throughout Paris, and nobody's doing that. We've mentioned him attending numerous events around the Olympic Games, being seen, but just being seen. Devin Booker's not the guy who likes to be heard. But that being said, even with everything going on, there was an episode that came out of the Backyard podcast with D'Lo, right? And I don't know, you watched that, right? Or
I watched parts of it. Yep.
So obviously the big thing everyone's talking about is PJ Tucker. I'll just go ahead and I'll play the clip. Ashley, can you get that for me?
I remember it used to be like, bro, me and PJ used to go at it in practice. Like, every day, like head to head. From that point on, it was like respect. Early in your rookie year.
I say he made a shoe about it. The Mexican flag when we're down in Mexico City, and we're practicing. There's like a little crowd in there too, because it's like NBA cares.
Like NBA games.
Like there's an audience in there, and we are not worried about the people that are watching. We get into it like we usually do. This is probably the most physical one. He come in soft headbutts to my chin, so I had to get him off me real quick. They separate us. We both take different buses back to the hotel. I remember I clicked the hotel floor, go up to the players floor. I get off, it's a long hallway, like 50 yards. Turn the corner, it's just PJ right there. PJ's coming down, we just walk head to head. I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen. Either we about to just finish what just happened at practice. He comes in, just wraps me up, just grabs me like, Rook, I can't let you be a part of this, man. This losing shit, man, this ain't the real NBA.
That's what you need.
You're too good for that. You need somebody that's gonna push you every day.
Love that.
Yeah, so that's a small example where people are like, yeah, I was getting my head beat in the first few years, but you can't replicate those moments and the type of vets. And, my situation, I love how it went.
What are your thoughts on that whole conversation? Just everything about that.
We need more of it. I love the setup, the golf, taking your time, kind of just really fishing through stories and really hitting on ones that really meant a lot, especially to Booker. And I'm not sure D'Lo knew exactly what to ask, but we all knew, like when Booker first started here and we were losing, we didn't know how great he would be, but we knew that this guy wanted to win. So when I heard the conversation, and that's awesome. It just seems so raw. But when I heard it, I was like, how close were we just to lose Booker? When Tucker says that about, this isn't the NBA, you should be winning, you're that good. It's like, wow, I wonder how close we were to actually really trading him to like the Knicks when the Suns were trying to get Porzingis, or, when that before like we actually started to win and we brought in CP3 here. It was rough. So he really made it through. He said a few years, but it was like 4 years of losing and just having a hard time to win anything here in the NBA. So I'm glad he stuck with it. And I'm glad PJ was on the team, because maybe if he wasn't on it, maybe Booker wouldn't get the message and he wouldn't be as good as he is today.
Yeah, the interview itself, it's an hour long. I watched it on YouTube yesterday, and like you said, it's so raw, and it's something you don't see from Devin Booker, right? Like Devin Booker doesn't sit down. I mean, he'll do the classic kind of interviews with the media and give you the standard answer, and he even admits it in that interview with D'Lo, how he wishes he was more outgoing like a D'Lo, but he's like, that's just not me. Like I'm just kind of laid back and I kind of keep to myself when, he's like in front of cameras and media. It's just not where I shine. And this format that brought out that story, which is such an amazing story. because us as Suns fans, we've always had that connectivity to Devin Booker because we experienced those times with him. And we knew at the time what PJ Tucker meant to Devin Booker, how iron sharpens iron, how they attacked each other in practice time and again. And we knew that it was going to pay dividends for Devin Booker. To this extent, I don't know if we saw that coming, but as now a two-time Olympian and somebody who is averaging 27 points a game in consecutive seasons and has just he's become him. His pronouns are he, him, as Dwayne Wade would say. But to hear those stories, the formative years, it is an excellent listen, a reminder that you don't take Devin Booker for granted. And maybe, maybe you do. And maybe go fuck yourself. Okay. I don't take Devin Booker for granted. Like, I love seeing him on this team. I love hearing those stories. I love, again, if you have a chance to watch that interview, take an hour every day and do it. I mean, if you're a Suns fan, you're a Devin Booker fan, it really is worth it seeing those stories and hearing him talk about, how it's like young kids today, man, they just don't get it. They just, it's like he's 27 years old and he's saying that young guys don't get it and things of that nature, but you've seen it in the Olympics. You've seen his selflessness. You've seen today was his offensive explosion where he had that 3-ball locked in. The best way I could describe Devin Booker, he's a jabroni. He knows his role.
Jabroni, what a great word. I love that.
I really like that word.
Yeah. First, like a jabroni's like, oh, back in the locker room, fucking jabroni ass, get your ass out here, whatever. I don't know if that was a good thing or not. But I love like he does admit to, like, he's not like the active guy in front of the camera. He's not full of the energy. But I feel like if he was, then it might have been kind of detrimental to his career here in Phoenix, because maybe if he was, he would be more in the side of other teams, like actually getting his being more vocal and just making sure that like everyone knows what he wants. I think he is that way, but the fact that he's more laid back, he can take things in, he can just kind of calculate things and just more know cerebral. Like, all right. Yeah. And I think that's really helped him in his career here in Phoenix. Otherwise, if he was more like an Anthony Edwards and D'Lo, maybe it would have went downhill. People already hate him. I mean, he already gets hated on. He doesn't get really the love that he deserves. But I think a lot of that has to do with just that too, just him being kind of himself and just being laid back. And it's funny because I'm not like Booker at all, but like I am very, very chill too. And I always envy the ones that are more energetic too, and like that have, that personality when it fucking counts and stuff. But I'm always just kind of just chill. They're like, "What's wrong, Lissy?" Like, nothing. I'm just this way. Sorry, guys. Why are you so quiet? I don't know.
Why are you apologizing all the time? Sorry, you're sorry. I do like what David says in the chat. He says Jambroni. He's a Jambroni.
Perfect.
Well, shifting gears, talking again about this victory over Brazil. There is the Joel Embiid situation. The frustrations have been real, and they've been with good reason for the most part during this Olympic run. But you take a look at him today, starting again in 12 minutes, 5 of 6 from the field, 14 points, 3 of 3 from beyond the arc. That was all in the first half. He really closed the first half. There was a run where Jason Tatum came in the game and Brazil went on a 10-0 run, and Reddit's losing their damn mind. And then Joel Embiid kind of comes back and settles the ship, hits some 3-pointers. Everything's right. But it got me thinking, well, let me ask you this. How would you feel if Joel Embiid was the foundation of your team? Like, what do you think it's like being a 76ers fan?
Well, I think until last year, it was all love. I think he was obviously the favorite ahead of Ben Simmons, even before that one play that lost him the game, even though I didn't think it really did in the playoffs to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that he's always been the favorite. This last year has been a little bit rough, and I've already talked about it, how he kind of does make excuses now. So I think right now you're kind of in between. You're like, this is either like just prove it, or else like get the hell out. You know what I mean? Like you have what you need to really succeed and to win in the NBA with the team he has. Now it's like he comes into the Olympics and it did not look good. So with the stat line and all that and the way he actually performed in the first half, that kind of just got him back out there. And there's better energy around him and stuff too, because it wasn't looking too good. He kind of just reminds you of kind of a crybaby in a way, just NBA wise, obviously, if you're just sitting there kind of complaining still. But I think right now he's kind of headed in a good path to end this thing sharp. And I think that if he is able to do that, then I think the fans of Philly are still going to stick behind him and they still love him. If I were to have him over like Devin Booker, I I know I've always wanted Embiid. We even threw out an Embiid trade out there, I think, for Kevin Durant when we're doing the Kevin Durant trades. As a centerpiece, I would like it just because of the actual potential and that he has. And you see the stories all the time in the NBA with these guys that just underperform or just can't make it, and then they finally do. Embiid might be one of those guys. He finally won his MVP, but now he has to win, of course, in the playoffs and win a championship. And who's to say he can't do it? We just haven't seen it yet, and he's failed in the playoffs. But these guys do come through like a Giannis, and then he'll just be the greatest player in the NBA if he does pull that off. So I'd rather have that than a guy, I hate to say it, just with his potential than Booker. But I love Booker. I'm just saying if I could choose a two and one's going to be healthy, I would choose Embiid.
Well, that's the big question, though, right? Is health, because Joel Embiid, the way that his body's designed, it's not built for sustained health. And that's been an issue that he's consistently faced throughout his career. And we talk about how he played today. And I will credit Devin Booker for getting him going. Booker had a couple easy shots and he passed to Embiid. Embiid took it, like his first couple shots made were tough shots. He's got like fall away runners in the paint and he hit them because Joel Embiid is talented. And again, I don't know if he makes sense on Team USA. I'm still going to say that the answer to that is no. But going back to the question I asked you, how would you feel if Embiid was the foundation of your team? What's it like to be a 76ers fan? It's got to be tough because Joel Embiid is one of those players, again, who has the health issues, who can be the best guy in the league. But as you mentioned a little bit earlier, as we were talking about Devin, with Devin Booker, Devin Booker's laid back, just kind of does his thing, and that's been a benefit to him. Whereas Joel Embiid's the exact opposite, right? Like he's outspoken, he's on social media, he likes to be in the spotlight. And again, nothing wrong with that, but it's frustrating to see that when he's constantly injured, constantly not performing to your expectations, constantly being injured. And the other thing that I think would drive me nuts, and this is where I get a little weird. How many free throws do you think he averaged last season?
Oh, jeez. Did he lead the league?
I don't know if he led the league. I didn't look that up. I just looked at his personal
How many
number.
did he average a game?
Yeah, how many free throw attempts did he average a game?
I think it's right below 10, maybe.
He was at 11.6.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of annoying. Like if you're a fan of a player and he's always at the line, he's always getting fouled. One, you're getting beat up physically while you're getting fouled. And two, it just, if that's how you're scoring all your points is at the line, it's not flashy. It's not pretty. It's just kind of herky-jerky. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of that. So if I was a fan of the 76ers and that was my primary player, as a guy who just like lived at the line, I find some frustration in that. But it also got me thinking.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
All right, trivia time, Matthew. So I was thinking, okay, Joel Embiid has last year averaged 11.6 rebounds per game.
Yeah.
His entire career, he's averaged 10.1 free throw attempts per game. So who has averaged the most free throw attempts per game in a season for the Phoenix Suns? And bonus if you can tell me what year and how many free throw attempts.
Was it Shaq?
It was not Shaquille O'Neal.
The most free throws. Can I just get a hint? Is it before 2000s? Before the 2000s?
After the 2000s.
Okay. I'm gonna say Amari Stoudemire.
Okay.
And
give me a year.
Average 2005.
Okay, and then give me a number.
Are we doing rebounds or free throws?
No, free throw attempts.
Free throw attempts.
Free throw attempts.
I thought you were saying like free throws and rebounds.
No. Free throw attempts.
Combined. Okay. Well, 9.8.
Okay. So Amari Stoudemire is the correct answer. In the history of the Phoenix Suns, the most anybody's ever averaged relative to free throw attempts per game. Amari Stoudemire, 2004/2005, 9.9. You're off by 0.1. Yes.
Damn.
That's the
Pretty
top
good.
all time. Okay, now here's the top 5. It's stat at number 1, Connie Hawkins in 1970, 9.1. Okay. Stat in 08 at 8.7. Dick Van Arsdale in 1971, 8.4 free throw attempts a game. And rounding up the top 5, Kevin Johnson, 8.1 in 1990. It's just kind of crazy to think of that, right? That amount of free throw attempts is the exception, not the rule. That's where Joel Embiid has lived his entire career. There's plays like him, Harden. They live at the line.
Ugh.
That's why that 76ers team was so ass
Yeah, hopefully
to
they never
watch.
team up.
Yeah. But you look at Devin Booker, his career high in free throw attempts in 2020, 7.3 free throw attempts per game. That's 21st most in Suns history. Just a different kind of player. And I'd rather watch the Devin Booker type of player than the Joel Embiid kind of player. That's just me. That's where I land.
Yeah, Booker's not even that type of player though anymore. I mean, like he was at a time a couple years ago trying to get to the line a lot. Now you kind of seen he's even last year. Well, this whole team was kind of jacked up last year, but last year he didn't really try as hard. I feel like Kevin Durant though should be a guy obviously getting to the line more. He never did. So I'm always thinking like, so who can maybe break it next year? If I had to bet on anybody, it would be Kevin Durant.
Yeah. But again, like 9.9 would be a ton for Kevin Durant. And I don't want Kevin Durant going to the line that much because it means he's getting fouled that much. That's the other side of this is you're getting fouled that much.
But he got fouled that much last year. Never got calls. I feel like he was.
I think he averaged like 6.7 free throw attempts, and Booker was in the fives, somewhere like that. So, is there anything else you had from this game on anybody?
No.
Okay, I have one more thing. Yes. LBJ took a shot in the face, didn't return, and probably one of the funniest moments, at least for me watching. Well, I'll ask you this: he takes a shot in the face. Are you concerned for LeBron, or are you concerned for Team USA?
I'm concerned for it. My first thought was LeBron. As soon as you were saying that, because I didn't even know that happened. So that's how much I watched of this game today. I had no idea that happened. So when you first said that, I was like, oh, poor LeBron, dude. He's going to be okay for next season. So I totally forgot about the Olympics.
Well, I'll say this. Probably one of the moments that was kind of funny is LeBron comes out and he sits down on the bench. And right at the same moment, Leon Marchand, who is the French swimmer who actually went to Arizona State University and won a couple golds, walked into the stadium. And the whole stadium starts going crazy. So they cut to LeBron on the sideline. And he does this one where, he puts the crown on his head. Like he thinks that everyone's cheering for him being back on the bench. And they weren't.
Did that really happen?
That happened. They didn't really talk about it, but I saw it. I was like, oh, he thinks that's for him. Embarrassing.
Wow. Yeah, that's a new low, LeBron.
All right. Well, next question, Matthew. Batman or Kermit?
Did you do Batman again last time?
I've done Batman twice in a row now.
You can do Kermit. I like Batman better, but you can do
Everybody
Kermit.
does, but you know what? It's time for Kermit. The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout. It's been a while since I've been here. Jamsters, how's everybody doing? Matthew, how are you?
I'm fine, Kermit. Good to see you.
Good.
I'm so glad you're still green.
Yes, well,
slim.
It is a hot one out here in Phoenix, and I was afraid I would start cooking and people would come for me frog legs.
A bunch of French, huh?
Oui, mon ami. Well, let's talk about some of the things that were said on the subreddit for Team USA versus Brazil. I said it right. Nice to see LeBron and Curry building up chemistry already. This will help them when Curry joins the Lakers. Reminder that Carmelo put down 37 in 14 minutes on a team that featured Kobe, LeBron, and Durant. Tatum in 20 minutes couldn't do what Melo would have done in 2. A lot of Tatum hate.
Good.
A lot of Tatum hate.
Let's keep it up.
My takeaways. Nothing. It's the best comment. The best comment all night. I forgot Book and Durant were real life teammates. That's how irrelevant the Suns are.
Wow. Yikes.
And then there was a lot of Devin Booker love. Booker got the SUNY stimulus because he obviously had his picture taken with Suni Lee from the gymnastics team. So everyone's like,
yeah, I saw that. She's like, what is she, 4'3"?
I don't know.
They're all pretty tiny.
Yeah, I was like, hey, it's like Matthew standing next to Evie.
Yeah.
Book's jump shot is the one you teach children when they first begin playing. Booker is one hell of a player. Devin Wilt Booker. And then you have a classic quote. Well, I'll get to the quote. I'll do Embiid 3. Fuck all you bitches. And then you have a classic quote from Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade said this on the broadcast today. Sometimes you just have to look a guy in his eyes and tell him to go back door. And that's the summary.
Wow.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
Wow. Flavor Flav. Wow.
Flavor Flav. He's in Paris.
Is he?
Yeah, he's out there. He like
Wow.
sponsored something.
Everyone's out there. I saw Tom Cruise was out there too.
Tom
right?
Cruise, Tom Brady was out there yesterday.
Tom Brady was there.
Ryan
Scary
Gosling. Scary
Ryan
guy.
Gosling.
Scary guy.
Scary
Snoop
guy, too.
Dogg.
Scary eyes. Yeah.
Scary eyes. Scary guy. Jam star.
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters, here's a reminder. If you're watching along live, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review. And if you happen to go onto Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a review. You give us 5 stars, leave us a review. We'll read it right here on the pod. Like this most recent one that we have from Well Cider Has Do Is So. That's right. Well Cider Has Do Is So. Says, great podcast. I've been watching this podcast since the beginning. Love it so much. Keep up the great work. Thank you ever so much. Well Cider Has Do Is So. Really appreciate that comment.
Thank you.
Matthew, who are you giving the
Nice
jam
and
star of the
simple.
game to?
Booker.
David Ray in the chat. Whoever has the most points equals jam star.
Yeah, Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker. I think that this was the Booker game. He's going to contribute in every game. He has done so thus far, but he really lit it up and looked fantastic today against Brazil. So good on Booker. Other things going on. Let's hit him with a little bit of our thoughts.
Thoughts. Brains?
All right, so one thing that we have not talked about on the podcast, the acquisition of TyTy Washington Jr. The Phoenix Suns filled their final two-way spot with another point guard. Matthew, what are your thoughts on the signing of TyTy Washington Jr.?
As the TIE Fighters returned.
Oh my God,
TyTy and
Ty
Tyus Jones.
Oh,
No. Well,
might
he
have
has to make it out of the G League, right? Two-way contract, but yeah. Thoughts on him? So you did text me today. You're like, hey, we're going to go over TyTy. And I'm like, oh, that must be John's new nickname for him in his drop for Tyus Jones. I'm like, no.
we got a new
He
guy.
said, no, we got a two-way player. So I did a little research on him and stuff. Another point guard. And now I'm thinking kind of like, wow, we're getting a lot of point guards now, right? The one thing we did not have, now we got 3 of them. Obviously, he probably won't be playing a lot of minutes. But it's nice to have a local guy from Phoenix, Arizona. That's pretty cool.
True.
A guy that was a 5-star recruit too, and back 2021 too, coming out of high school. So I think it's nice to have that extra point guard, but no real thoughts. I mean, do you have anything in depth on this dude that's gonna bring anything?
I don't have anything
to
in
the team this year?
depth. I think that, again, I look at it from a roster construction standpoint. This is what I mentioned a little bit earlier in the pod, but I'm bringing up a graphic that has the Suns depth chart as of right now. And obviously you have the 5 different positions: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. And you have some players who are kind of hybrids who hit a couple different areas. But right now, the starting 5, in my opinion, is going to be Tyus Jones. Can't say Ty now. Tyus Jones, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker at the 3, which is something that he's been playing in the Olympics, is that small forward position. Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic, and then backing them up. So you go down each individual silo, if you will. Our only true centers are Yusuf Nurkic and Mason Plumlee. Oso Ighodaro can play center, but he can play power forward as well. Looking at our point guard situation, it's Tyus Jones, Monte Morris. You have Colin Gillespie and TyTy Washington. Now, 2 of those guys, the last 2, are on 2-way contracts. So they are break glass in case of emergency type players. Shooting guard, you got Bradley Beal and Damian Lee. Small forward, you have Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Ryan Dunn. And then you have Josh Okogie and Nasir Little, who are kind of 2 guards / small forwards. So they're wing players. And then from a power forward standpoint, you have Kevin Durant, Royce O'Neal, Bol, with Jalen Bridges being a small forward / power forward. And again, Oso Ighodaro being a power forward / center. So you take a look at this, and I think the one thing I would change, if I could change change anything is probably the need for another big, but that's where like the Josh Okogie contract comes into play. That's where, him getting paid $8.3 million this year could equate to us getting somebody who could provide assistance in the realm of big, because we definitely have the shooting. We have now plenty of playmakers. We probably could use a little bit more size, don't you think?
Yeah, there's one name out there too that it looks like the Portland Trailblazers might be wanting to trade, and that is DeAndre Ayton. So I don't know if we want to go ahead and try to get him back here. Phoenix.
No, we don't got the money.
No.
We can't make that happen. But
I know
that's a whole
but, I
nother
mean,
that's a whole nother question. Is like, does he become a veteran minimum player after this contract's up?
Jeez, I love how
It's
like
possible.
we don't have the money, but then it's like we always make everything work. So that's
Yeah,
why I don't
true.
worry about the money. The centers though, I know we want size, but I do feel like it's kind of upgraded from last year. If Nurkic is coming back into the season a little bit more in shape, I know we'll probably see that big butt in sweats pre-game, the first game, and be like, oh wait, he didn't lose weight, he's just the same.
It's just he's not
that butt
standing
in
next
sweats,
to anybody.
dude. Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
a
that butt in
Walgreens
sweats.
butt, dude.
Yeah, he wears like Walmart sweatpants from 1987
He
during
just-
every shoot around.
Yeah, he's at just like Walmart or Walgreens in the freezer section looking around. That's what he looks like with his hoodie and his sweatpants. But yeah, any thoughts on the whole depth chart? I think that it's funny when Ryan Dunn was drafted, we kind of had him already as a starter, but now when Tyus Jones kind of enters, or just a lot of people want him in the starting lineup just for the defense.
I think they
obviously.
want starting rotation. Like
Starting
he's
rotation.
not a
I
starting
kept seeing a
lineup.
lot of starting lineup stuff with him in there.
I don't know where you're looking, because
I
he
follow
can't
two
shoot
people on
shit.
Twitter, and I saw one. I think I saw one crop of him in the starting lineups. And
Was
then
it-
I'd say
was that
that's
Carrie
everybody.
Lake? Don't
It
listen to
probably was
Carrie
Carrie Lake. How's she doing out there?
Don't listen to her.
Is she doing good?
I have no
I don't
idea.
care about
I don't
any
either.
politics, but
Me
um,
neither.
but yeah, I think Tyus kind of threw like a wrench in it, but now it looks so straight and good because I think we have an obvious first unit and second unit now.
Yes.
Something we didn't have last year, as long as we can stay healthy, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, TyTy Washington, as you mentioned, isn't really going to affect the roster. It might from a G League standpoint. It might be from a developmental standpoint, because he is a talented player.
Yeah.
I forget the age. He's 22, 23, somewhere along those lines. So he definitely has he's an upside swing guy, a Kentucky guy, a local kid who went to Cesar Chavez High School. So he is definitely an upswing guy that you add as a depth add. Would I like to see that final ad be a big, a center? I don't care that far down the lineup.
No.
Some people, I've seen those that's the part of Twitter that I'm on, where they're like, dude, why didn't we get a fucking another big? I'm like, okay, what quality? We could have got, it wasn't Udoka, Trey Jemison before. I think the Spurs got Trey Jemison, right? Trey Jemison, who played for the G League or the Summer Suns 2 summers ago. Big body. They're like, yeah, it's like, that guy's not going to play either. Like, these are the same people who loved Udoka Azubuike and thought he was a game changer. It's like as much as you wanted that to be true, it's not necessarily going to happen. Yeah, Saban Lee, same thing though. It's like TyTy Washington is this year's Saban Lee. That's 100% correct. He's a small combo guard who can play some point guard, play some 2 guard, is a score first guy, can assist, a decent assist to turnover ratio. He's going to exist on the fringes of the roster. Going back to kind of the acquisition of Tyus Jones, and should I give everyone a preview of the Tyus Jones drop?
You're gonna.
I guess so. I don't have the
You
video
better.
yet. I don't have the video yet, but this is the audio. So if you're listening, you would have heard this anyways, and no, you probably didn't even know there was videos accompanying this. But this is the audio for the Tyus Jones drop.
Mr. Jones and me.
So Mr. Jones, that gives us a really good 8-man rotation, because you got Grayson Allen, Tyus Jones, Royce O'Neal. Those are the guys who are outside of the starting 4. That's 7 guys, I guess. 7-man rotation. But we have a solid 7-man rotation. I think that's unbelievably valuable going into what we're going to experience with the 2024-2025 Suns. Just throwing it out there. I love that acquisition. I still do.
Yeah, depending what this guy Bobo is working on too in the offseason, we have a lot of upside on that bench. It's gonna be awesome to see the steps that he makes going into next year. But I love the fact that we can argue though about Beal being on the bench and stuff like that, just because we know we have those great guys that can really fill in the starting lineup if an injury happens. So obviously, like when we got Tyus Jones, we were worried about who's starting. You mentioned like there's going to be injuries. So obviously we have those guys, a tight 7, but we have other guys too in there that can definitely fill the holes when we need it. And, if you look at him deep enough in the eyes, let him know to go back door. Is that what he said?
That's what Dwayne Wade
pretty
says.
Close.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Dwayne Wade says every now and then he's got to look a guy in the eyes and tell him to
That's
go
what
back door.
it is. Yeah.
So next up for Team USA, Thursday, 12 p.m. Arizona time, they will take on Serbia. Any thoughts on that game? This is a team that the Phoenix Suns, the Team USA played in group play, winning 110-84.
Thoughts on it? There was a day where Jokic was the best player in the NBA in the world. Things fall apart so quickly. And now he's not a champion anymore. And he's not going to be Olympic gold champion. And he's going to get demolished and things are going to get destroyed. And we're going to have second thoughts about who is the best player in the NBA going into next year.
Oh, wait, Canada lost too.
Yeah, so never mind.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just excited for this because maybe there'll be more competition, but I doubt it.
Yeah, this is one of those, you hate to say trap game in the Olympics, but this is a trap game because sitting on the other side of the bracket is France and Germany. And this isn't World War I or World War II, but these are two really good teams who are going to be battling it out. And the German team is a team that played the American team tough in the showcase round. The French team is long and athletic. It has Wemby. So if you can get through Serbia, there could be a challenge on the other side. And you have to remember that France, pre-Wemby, that was the last Olympic loss for Team USA. Was the first game in the Olympics back in 2020 when we lost to France. Now we played them in the final and we beat them, but that was a good game too. So handle your business against Serbia. We'll be right back here on Thursday night to talk about what we saw in that game, and then hopefully we'll on Saturday morning be doing a playback of the gold medal game for Team USA. Matthew,
oh, so excited, dude! Can we get this over with?
All right,
basketball.
Yeah. On that note, Jamsters, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Have a fantastic evening. You can follow me, Darth Voida, on Twitter. You can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow Matthew. And on that note, what should people do, Matthew?
Go home and love your family, everybody.
Oh, yeah, Hard Knocks is on tonight.
What?
Hard Knocks with the Bears. On tonight, HBO.
Okay.